Now, I want to introduce somebody that you're going to see a lot of over the course of the next decade. Okay, his name is Rob Stein. Now, Rob is affiliated with Icon Coaching. He's got many programs that he's put together. Rob is going to be really kind of moving into a leadership role and taking over this call because he is a doer. He's an implementer. And the difference between extraordinary success and below average results, guys, is simply speed of implementation. No doubt about that. I mean, I'll share something with Rob at 9 a.m. and by 1 p.m. it's already launched. It's deployed within his organization. It's funny because I have the opportunity to align with his team as well and coach them every other week. And I always bring up an idea and Rob's like, oh no, we talked about that 6 months ago. It's already in place. It's really good stuff. So Rob, welcome. How are you, bud?
Sean, thank you so much. Of course, it's an honor and pleasure to be here. I'm doing great. Lots of big wins in the business. We're helping a ton of people, and I'm super excited to be helping to facilitate these calls.
Absolutely. And Rob, today you're going to be talking about closing strategy to improve all of our ability to really get more of what we want when we want it. Yeah. See, the people who get what they want, guys, they've just enhanced their ability on how they ask for it. So when you know how to ask for what you want, what that does is it raises your competence level, which leads to a higher level of confidence, no doubt about that. And it impacts your mindset in such a powerful way. We've all been there where we know it's time to ask for what we want. I mean, the conversation has led us to that point, and yet we each have a gut gauge. Yeah, that gut gauge is, you need to ask that question, yet maybe because you don't know exactly how to ask for what you want, you tend to kind of shy away from that. You kind of skirt around the edges and hope that the buyer or the seller, they actually close you for the appointment. So Rob, you're going to enhance their ability today, leveraging the methodology that I created, back in probably 1993 called the ABCs.
That's
and
right.
By the way, it worked back then. It works today. It's going to work tomorrow. Yeah. This methodology transcends time. I'm telling you, it works in all situations in your personal life as well as your work life. So Rob, I'm going to ask you to just take it away, buddy. Just add value to everybody on this call. By the way, each one of you, let's play interrupter rules. Okay. Meaning if you have a question, if Rob or I haven't gone deep enough in a particular subject, just simply move your mouse down to the bottom of your screen. You're going to see a little icon there that says reactions. It's got a little smiley face there, right? In fact, let's practice this. Go ahead and click that little reactions tab. You're going to see a new window just appear right above that. And you see that wide bar there. It says raise hand. That's all you have to do. Raise your hand. Rob will see that. He will break the conversation. He'll call upon you. And I think that's important because how you participate during this call is how you're going to participate in everything in life. So the more you plug in, the more you volunteer, the more you're going to learn. See, this is going to stretch your mind. And once your mind is stretched, it never goes back to its original form. So Rob, take it away, my friend. Let's talk about the ABCs.
Let's do it. I can't wait to get started. So first thing I'm going to do, if you're in a position to do it, I'd really love to see you turn on your video. Okay. I would imagine, right, if I was teaching today's class like this, you'd be like, oh, that's not super interactive, right? So the cool thing is you're going to get more out of it when you are more engaged. And the reality is if your video is not engaged, it's going to be easier to be checking email or something like that. So I want you to get the most out of this call, right? So by turning your video on, making direct eye contact, really being engaged as though we were in person, you're going to make sure you can really get the most out of it, because ultimately Sean's goal, my goal, is to pour into you and actually have you go implement what we're doing, right? So you can go and actually succeed. So let me tell you a little bit. Oh, love it. Look at all these videos. Yeah, let's go. So first, let me tell you about what the ABC script did for me. And then I have some documentation I'm going to share. We're going to get into it. Okay. Now I met Sean, it was like 2.5 or 3 years ago, going through his accelerated breakthrough program. Now, if you haven't done that, go to iconcoaching.com, events, accelerated breakthrough. It's a 16-week live series that Sean does. Literally changed my life and income. After week 3, I reached out to Sean and said, do you do one-on-one coaching? Can you help me with my team? And here we are years later, right?
And Rob, let me just say one thing. One thing you did is you made yourself visible. Now you made yourself visible by taking what you were learning, put it into place, and then reporting back to me what the results were. See, I think there are people out there that will undoubtedly mentor you. They'll mentor you for you free of charge. And yet the one thing a mentor is going to expect, one thing a coach is going to expect, is that you implement and deploy what they tell you to do. And then the best thing and the highest compliment you can pay back to your mentor is to report back to them to say, here's what happened. And here's the results that I'm getting. What you do is you eliminate the invisibility. You become the shining light in a crowd of other people. So I'd encourage each one of you to report back what you've implemented, how you've implemented, and what the results are. What that does, again, it makes you visible. Now, this applies to this call. This applies to your database, your sphere of influence. Everything in life is the more you engage, the more you participate, the more attention you're going to receive. So, I mean, Rob's taken over this call. Look at that. Here we are just 3 years later, right, Rob?
Yeah. That's right. So the ABC script, of course, action, benefit, commitment. Now, Sean broke this down. I don't remember which week. It was like week 2 or 3 of his accelerated breakthrough program. And of course, as Sean's already said, I implement quickly when I get the right info. And that's part of the framework, gang. You get the right blueprint and then you implement it as fast as you can. Because of course, the faster you implement, the faster you're going to get results. So I practiced the ABC script a lot. I used it my next week between open houses and following up. Now, I was already technically in the top 10% of agents when I met Sean. I was already achieving success, but it wasn't super consistent. And I wasn't really achieving the ultimate quality of life that I desired for myself. So I practiced it and I implemented it right away. Within the next week, I got 4 new clients that led to over $60,000 in commissions by implementing literally just the ABC script. That was the only thing I changed, was how I asked for what I wanted. And it worked. And that's when I was like, this guy is a genius. I'm all in on Sean Kokoska. So
you know what that is, Rob? What is that, buddy? Come on. What is
that?
That
is winning to the highest degree. Let's go. So just so y'all know, I do have the chat open. If you have a question, go ahead and post it in the chat. Raise your hand. If you want to DM me, you can just like do a direct message to me and I'll address your question. If I get a direct message, I'll assume you don't want people to know you asked it. And I'll just say someone asked this question. I want you to feel safe and comfortable here. We're all friends. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If Tim, you could make me co-host, give me that screen share ability, please, so I can show people the ABC script. Now, what I'd like you to do, you got your video on, show me your pen. You got a pen or a pencil and a notepad, right? Hopefully. You should always come. Thank you. You should always, I mean, I'm a teacher. I got a master's in education. I'm always going to expect you to show up ready to learn. I'm loving seeing all the notepads. Thank you, Tim. And we're going to go ahead and make sure you write this stuff down. Studies actually show when you write it down, as opposed to typing it out, you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals because of the brain patterns that happen when you actually write things down. So writing things down is super, super helpful. So I'm going to share the screen and I'll tell you what, if you want the ABC script, when we're done, if you want this document, all I want you to do is send me an email at rob@robstein.com and I'm going to email this back to you. Okay. That's STEIN. Now I'm going to share this script with you. Okay. And let's see. Jackson, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see this? Awesome. The ABC script, how to close. Okay. Now, what this is Sean and I have actually partnered together to bring another incredible product to everybody here. And of course, I've created over the past 2 years called Earth to Orbit. And we're about 1 week out of having you be ready to engage with it in the brand new custom platform that we've built out. So if you really want to go deep, you're going to have an opportunity to do that. So it starts with the ABC, again, which stands for action, benefit, commitment. Now, you can see that the purpose here for the ABC script, gang, this is going to be your go-to closing technique, okay? For whatever it is you're trying to close. Now, I mean, if you've got kids, you can use this for the kids, right? It's not even just real estate related, okay? But you can use this for a variety of things. Now, here's how it works. Typically, most commonly as a real estate agent, you are going to be using this when you are A, scheduling an appointment, or B, asking your appointment to sign a rep agreement. Now, you better be implementing rep agreements as part of your business. Raise your hand if you do implement rep agreements as part of your business. You're not going to really spend time on someone until they've signed that exclusive agreement. That should be the case. And if you're not sure how to do that, I will teach you how to do that without sounding pushy. Now, you're going to use this primarily for setting appointments and signing rep agreements. Let me ask before we get in so I can gauge the room a little bit. How many of you, by show of hands, ask for the appointment in person? You're at an open house. You set the appointment in person. How many of you are actively doing that? Okay. How many of you are more of the, thank you. How many of you are more of the mindset? I'm going to get info and follow up later because I don't want to be too pushy. How many of you are there? And that's okay. Okay, cool. That is understandable. That is understandable. Yet here's the thing. We are commission only. Yes, we all agree with that. Yeah. We eat what we kill. Here's the analogy I make. Now, I'm not a hunter, but I think people can relate to hunting. Now, if you hunt, that means you need to eat or you're going to starve, right? Can you imagine going up to an animal and be like, hey, so would it be okay if you just kind of like, because if not, like, I don't want to be too pushy though. So I can try again tomorrow, right? You're going to die fast. Okay. You need to go get what you want because we only eat what we kill 30 to 45 days later if it closes, right? So you need to be okay with asking for what you want. But here's the thing. Those of you that raise your hand that said, I don't want to be pushy. Number one, I want to tell you it's okay to feel that way. It's totally natural. Yet it is possible to get what you want while offering value without sounding pushy. And this is exactly how you're going to do it because you have to ask for what you want. And again, when I implemented this, I used to be the same. I was like, when I was at an open house, I would never ask for the appointment. I would just go ahead and follow up and then work my follow-up sheet. Once I started using the ABC script, that's when I started sending 2, 3, and 4 appointments per open house. That's when I started closing 6, 7, 8 deals a month and always having 12 to 13 in escrow at all times. That's exactly what you can do too. So realize you must be intentional about asking for what you want. The days of trying not to be pushy are over because it's not being pushy if you do it right. So here's how we do it. First, make sure that you understand your number one task is to make sure you're actively listening to your prospects so you can customize the script to their needs to ensure the best chance of conversion. Because really the ABC script, we're going to give you some foundational ones, but it really needs to be customized. Now, real quick, who's going to unmute themselves and participate? Tell me, what do you perceive as the difference between these two terms, hearing and actively listening? What is the difference between hearing and actively listening? Who's going to participate in this class and give me an answer?
Body language.
Yep. Okay. Body language. Good. What else?
You're cognizant of what they're saying, but listening is being able to empathize with them and repeat them and ask a question to solve what they're saying.
Boom. Gold star for Brian. Now, Brian is already in my course. He comes to all my masterminds too. So he knows this and he practices it, right? So here's the thing. Hearing, we hear all the time. Someone's talking to you. You're not paying attention. Someone's talking to you and you're on your phone. You're hearing. You're not listening. You're thinking about what you want to say next. You're thinking about something else. Actively listening is when you're fully engaged and focused on what people are saying, and you actually steer the conversation based on what they say. You ask questions based on what they say to you, which you can only do if you are actively listening to them. So when someone comes in at your open house, when you're at that buyer or listing consultation, you're not thinking about what you're going to say next. You're not thinking about what you're going to have for dinner or the stress that you have. You leave it at the door and you focus 100%. If you're just hearing me now, stop that and actively listen to what I'm saying so you can engage. If you're doing something else, stop doing something else because you're not actively listening. You're hearing. You must actively listen, because what if someone says, hey, we need this new house because we just had more kids. Great. What's your timeline? You just missed the opportunity to ask all about their kids because you weren't listening, and form more relationships and build that rapport and build trust and be different than every other agent that just breathing hot, stinky commission breath all over them. So by actively listening, that's when you can take off ramps, which are non-real estate related conversation, by the way, which I teach all about in the course. That's when you can really understand what your client is going through. People want to feel heard and understood. Yes? People want to feel heard and understood. Every other agent is all about appointments and showing and commissions. You want to understand what your client is going through. You have to understand what they're going through because every situation is very unique. And so your ability to actively listen to them is going to be huge. So that's why I stress this at the beginning of this document. Now, over time, gang, you're going to be able to practice these and customize these on the fly. So let's break it down right now. The A stands for action. It's the first part of the script. Now, typically, again, this is setting up an appointment, but it could be used in other circumstances or for signing a rep agreement. So the action, gang, is what you want your prospect to do. So for example, you would say from here, the next step to set you up for success is to set an appointment for us to meet either virtually or in person. You want to set an appointment? That's what you need to ask for. Or if that's setting an appointment, if you want to sign the rep agreement at the end of the seller presentation, you say, well, all we need to do now is sign the agreement and we can get ready to sell your house. That is the very specific action you want them to take. You cannot be loose about it. You can't leave anything open to interpretation. Now, you're not saying you're going to sign this rep agreement, right? You're saying the next step to set you up for success is to sign the agreement so we can get this thing sold for you. From here, the next step is to set an appointment for us to meet virtually or in person. You very specifically the action you want them to take. Okay, before I move on to the B, is everyone clear on the action? Does anyone have a question on the action? When you see me looking up, it's because I got a big TV monitor up here. So I have all your faces up here and the document over here. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Now the B. Now here's a pro tip for you as you're writing this down. The B is the part that you really want to customize for the prospect. The B is the customized portion that's going to build rapport and potential for success. So active listening, gang, if you're not actively listening, you can't do this. Now you're going to become a pro after enough practice with your accountability partner, with your prospects. It stands for benefit. So here, the first part is the action. What do you want them to do? And the next part is, why should they do it? How is it going to benefit them to engage in this action with you? So let's say you are working on setting a buyer appointment. You know, in this aggressive market, it takes an extremely proactive realtor like me to ensure you don't miss out on any opportunities. And as a local market expert, no one knows this area better than I do. That's a compelling reason to meet with you. Or let's say, again, you're trying to get that listing agreement signed. You know, with my multi-channel marketing and negotiation skills, we're going to ensure you get the most money out of this sale so you can buy that beautiful home closer to your family, which I know is exactly what you want, isn't it? That's the B. That's the benefit. Now, I'm going to put this all together for you in a moment. So to summarize first, again, we have the action. What do you want them to do? And then the B, the benefit. Why is it going to benefit them to do it? What benefits are they going to receive by meeting with you? Now, what most agents are going to do is, I can do this and I can do that and I can do this. No. They don't want to know about you. What value are you going to bring them? This is what we're going to do for you. Okay, that's the B. Now, the C, pro tip, the commitment section of the script, that's where you want to be sure to utilize the downswing in your tone at the end of your questions. And I signify in my 60 scripts and objection handlers that come with the course, the arrow down at the end. This is the part where most newer agents talk way too much, which is what you want to avoid. Stick to the script, keep it short, and embrace the silence after you ask them. Not like, are you ready to work together? Because I'm going to do a really good job. I'll discount my commission if you sign it. Right? We need to just stick to the commitment. So the commitment, this is the third and final part of the script. So after you summarize the benefits of the action you're requesting, now it's time to get the prospect to commit to taking the requested action, which commonly will be setting the appointment or signing a rep agreement. So let's say it's in the appointment. You would say, so when is the best time to get together? Would a weekday or weekend be best? Notice we give them an A/B choice and we're asking a question. We're not saying, if you'd like to get together, I'd love to get together. No, we're saying, when is the best time to get together? Would a weekday or weekend be best? And then you go to morning, afternoon, or early evening. Propose 2 times. Would a weekday or weekend be best? Oh, weekend would be best. Great. Would morning, afternoon, or early evening? Probably afternoon. Great. Would Saturday at 1 or Saturday at 2:30 be best for you? Boom. Okay. Or, so now let's just sign the rep agreement so we can get this house sold and set you up for success. Sound good? See? Notice the downswing. I didn't say, would a weekday or weekend be best? I said, would a weekday or weekend be best? I'm asking a question, yet I phrase it like a statement. Now that takes practice. It takes practice to have that downswing be very, very natural. But when you do it, you're going to prompt more of a response. So like if I said, that is what you want, isn't it? You would think, is it? Is it what I want? But if I said, that is what you want, isn't it? You would say, yeah, right away. You would just say, yep, because of how I phrased it. So the downswing is ultra important and it takes practice. Okay. So now, pro tip as we put it all together. Okay, Cricket, it looks like you got your hand up, so I'll call you in just a moment when I wrap this up here. The whole ABC script should be completely seamless and feel like a very natural conversation. And that's only going to happen, gang, okay, with practice, with lots of practice and consistency, consistent practice. So you got to be sure to get plenty of both. Now, if you went to my YouTube channel at robstein.com, you would see a video on achieving mastery through repetition, where I talk about the ability to actually achieve mastery with something. Okay. I'm just popping into the chat real quick. Gary, yes, rob@robstein.com is my email address. The YouTube channel is robstein.tv, where you can find that video. So here's the buyer ABC script. So, you know, from here, the next step to set you up for success is to set an appointment for us to meet either virtually or in person. You know, in this aggressive market, it takes a really proactive realtor like me to ensure you don't miss out on any opportunities. And as a local market expert, no one knows this area better. So when's the best time to get together? Would a weekday or weekend be best? That's very compelling. That's going to lead to an appointment. Now, let's say you just finished the listing agreement or the listing presentation. So perfect. All we need you to do now is sign the agreement and we'll get ready to sell your house. You know, with my multi-channel marketing and negotiation skills, we'll ensure you get the most money out of this sale so you can buy a beautiful home closer to your family, which I know is exactly what you want, isn't it? Yes. So let's just sign the agreement so we can get this house sold to set you up for success. Sound good? Boom. That's how to do it. So that's the overview of the ABC script. Now I'm going to do a deep dive now into the customization portion. But before I do that, does anyone have a question on the initial framework? Remember, gang, the only silly question is the one you want to ask, but don't. So please ask. Todd, what you got, brother?
Rob, I'll just say this is awesome. So it's actually, I did that. I'll give myself a little humble pat on the back. Right before this call, had a buyer that was just no-showed the lender trying to get them to do a loan approval, and ran them through this, and they're actually speaking with the lender today at 3:00 to get reapplied to get that application. And so just help them understand, you know, the benefit for them instead of it being, you know, because everybody's always like, oh, you need to get applied,
right.
get your, you know, get approval, but help them understand really it's at the end of the day, you have to answer the what's in it for me question, right? Like, what is the benefit to them?
That's right.
And so we can sit here as salespeople and preach. And I know we have the tendency to do that, but by asking poignant questions and helping them come to the conclusion that that's the best benefit for them, that's the most powerful part to this.
100%, Todd. That's great feedback. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to tell you about the customization, then I'm going to give you an assignment that I'd like people to share for next week. Now, the customization, this is going to be really, really important as you're actively listening to them. Now, let's say you're at the open house and you're utilizing the at the open house script that I provide in the program. So you know exactly what to say when they come in to get to the ABC script to secure the appointment. And you ask them, so tell me, what are some of the must-haves that are really important to you? And the first thing they say is, well, you know, for sure, we love our dogs and we need a bigger backyard for the dogs because we rent an apartment right now. We have no backyard. It's crazy. And we really want a great backyard for them to play in. Most agents would say, okay, what else? Or that sounds great. When can I show you some properties? But you missed the off-ramp. And remember, the off-ramp is when you're actively listening and you hear an opportunity to talk about non-real estate related things. Now in the program, I have a whole 30-minute lesson just on the off-ramp. But when someone gives you an opportunity like that, you must take it. So I would say, well, tell me all about your dogs. That's the first thing they said. They're all about their dogs. What kind of dogs do you have? How old are they? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. What else do you need in the house? Right? What are their names? Do you have any pictures? Well, we also need a bigger house because we're having another kid. Oh, how many kids do you have? How old are they? Oh, that's so sweet, right? Because you actually care about them. You actually care about what they're going through. You're not just asking these questions to convert. You're asking because you care, because you're all good people. And it would be disingenuous not to actually care. But you're taking these off ramps. Then you're logging these things in your brain. Now, this is where it takes practice. So that later, when you're giving them the ABC script, That's where you can customize it. You could say, well, the next step to set you up for success is to set an appointment to meet virtually or in person to talk about getting you into the perfect home. And as a buyer specialist in this area, no one knows the market better than I do. And for sure, what I really want to prioritize doing is being super proactive for you and getting you into that new home so you can have a beautiful, bigger house for your family and a great backyard for the dogs. So when is the best time to get together? Would a weekday or weekend be best? And what I've done is I've incorporated what's important to them in the B section of the ABC script. I've taken the customizations that are going to further allow me to convert them because they feel heard and understood, because you don't just give the same ABC script to anybody. Maybe at the beginning you will, but when you get really good at off-ramps and practicing, that is when you customize the benefits section. That is going to make your conversion rates go through the roof, well into orbit, because they're going to feel heard and understood and like you actually care about them. People love talking about themselves and they love feeling heard and understood. So when you can relay, I hear you, I understand, I know what's important to you, and your priorities are my priorities. That's when you're really going to get the yes every time. When you're selling at the buyer selling presentation and you ask them why they're moving. Remember, gang, money is exchanged when problems are solved. People aren't trying to move. They're trying to solve a problem. Every single one. Think about it. Take a moment now to think about any client you've ever had. Was each one of them not trying to solve a problem? Bigger house, smaller house, relocating for work. They want to move, be closer to family. That's a problem. They want to solve it. Even if they're just trying to sell for the money, the problem is they want more money. They don't have more money. They're going to get more money, right? Money is exchanged when problems are solved. You need to isolate the problem and show them that you understand the problem and that you are the best, most qualified person to solve it. And by using the ABC script and actively listening, that is when you're really going to be able to use this very simple technique and have huge, huge results. So I'm going to give you an assignment now, and then we'll open it up for questions and thoughts. Here's the assignment. I want you to write and memorize one ABC script that is unique to you. Now, it could be based on a skill set you have, a specific clientele, a demographic, or anything that makes you stand out and be more appealing to the person you're talking to. So as an example, I relocated to Texas 4 years ago from halfway across the country. So when people tell me they're moving from far away, I know what that's like. I've been there. That resonates with them. So that's something I can talk about, right? So you could say, in the benefits, I relocated here from out of state as well, and I know exactly what you're going through. So I'm going to make this easy and stress-free process for you so you can focus on moving. Let me handle the rest. When would be the best time to get together, weekdays or weekends? Right? You're helping first-time homebuyers. Let's say you're an investor and you're working with an investor. As an investor myself, I know exactly what you're looking for, and I have a very unique skill set that most agents don't, because I understand the profits and losses and all of your criteria. So trust me, there's no one more qualified to help you than myself, because I know what it's like to negotiate for your own money. So would a weekday or weekend be best for us to get together? So your assignment, gang, is for each of you to simply write one ABC script that you are uniquely qualified to give based on a skill set or experience, something that you feel if this opportunity comes up, you can say, oh, I can use this for this type of specific client. You all have something very unique about your past that is going to be appealing if the right person presents themselves. So utilize it. Maybe it's that you've lived in this area your whole life. I was born and raised here. Trust me, no one knows this area better than I do. You've all have something very unique about your past that you can utilize that's going to be appealing to the right person. So that was a great lesson on the ABC script. Remember, if you want that ABC script explained, that document I just shared you, email me at rob@robstein.com. Check out the YouTube at robstein.tv to learn how to achieve mastery through repetition. But tell me, do any of you have any questions? The most important thing I want to know, gang, is what else can I impart to you that's going to allow you to go implement this right away? I want you to go. Sean wants you to go use these ABC scripts like on the follow-up that you're about to do when we hang up this call. We're looking forward to hearing some people share some wins next week for those of you that maximize speed of implementation like I do, that are going to really push and get some results here. So do you have any questions on what you can do to implement everything we just talked about. All right. I either explained it perfectly or some people are hesitant. Jeffrey raising his hand. What you got, Jeff?
Hey Robert, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you, buddy? Thanks for coming.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
I'm doing great. Questions for you. I understand the actively listening part, but for the benefit part, how can we deliver the value to our prospects right away? And they see the importance of the value. I just don't get this, but how can we deliver that part to the clients?
How can we deliver the value? That's a great question.
Yes.
So here's what I recommend you do. And this is something that we do offer in the course, right? We have the ABC script essentials. Those are a very standard buyer, seller, investor, renter, and lender ABC script. So think about generically, as a buyer agent, what are some really important things that are going to help people? Let's have some participation, because Jeffrey, you asked a really good question and I want to make sure we get it answered. So let's say you're going to help someone buy a home. What are some qualities? And let's go ahead and write down. Okay, let's go ahead and write down. Or Tim, maybe you can kind of type in the chat as people are giving answers. What are some really important qualities that a great buyer agent is going to have?
Knowledge of the area.
Knowledge of the area. Yes, very good. What else?
Good negotiation skill.
Great negotiation skills. That's so important for a buyer to get the best deal on the home. 100%.
Communication skills.
Excellent communication skills. Make no mistake about it. You have to be a proactive communicator. In these days of instant gratification, people like high levels of communication. And it's amazing. I mean, raise your hand if you've experienced an agent that sucks at communication. I bet everyone's got 2 hands and feet in the air. Isn't it crazy? People just don't pick up their phone, right? Great communication. Excellent. What else?
The bar of entry is very low to be an agent. So let's be real about that.
Right. What else is really important for a great buyer agent?
Patience.
Time.
Patience. Yep. Having time and availability. Good. What else?
Trust.
Trust. Absolutely. How about being super proactive? Get these showings scheduled right away. Right. These are all really important. So go ahead.
Nope. I was going to throw in, Rob. I think 2 other things that you really need to have is high energy optimism, if that's a good way to put it, right? You know, we want to be optimistic and really towards the future with these people to help give them, to buy into their dream. But then the other thing I would say is really consistency or reliability. I mean, if you're going to tell them that you're doing something, the quickest way to lose a client is by not following through with what you just committed that you were going to do.
That's right. Absolutely. And again, what we're looking for are, what are traits that your clients want to know you have? So we just listed a bunch of good ones. And in the template ABC buyer script I gave you. So let's say you talk to someone, there's 0 off ramps. That's a really good generic ABC buyer script. So the next step to set you up for success is to meet so we can talk about the process of getting you into the perfect home. It takes a really proactive agent like me to make sure you don't miss out on any opportunities in this market. And as someone that is an expert in this area, trust me, no one knows this market better than I do. So when is the best time to get together, weekdays or weekends? So I've given them some really compelling reasons to meet with me. There's value in that. I'm super proactive. You're not going to miss on any opportunities. You need what I have to offer to make sure you can win. Those are some very compelling things. So that's the value. I'm offering them the value of those characteristics I just said. Or if you're giving the listing ABC script, we don't just take the same lame pictures that everyone else does. That's just the tip of the iceberg. With our multi-channel marketing approach, including print mail, direct mail, and social media, we maximize every single way we can present your property in the best light. And we have an excellent track record with our listings. And I'm extremely proactive in my communication to reach out to buyer agents that have a client that's interested in what you have to offer. So when is the best time to get together, weekdays or weekends? That's a lot of value. Those are compelling reasons for any listing appointment. Those are compelling reasons. So there are just certain template foundational traits that you can have as a buyer, seller agent that are going to offer value. Now, Jeffrey, to answer your question again, the best thing you can do is actively listen, because the most value you can offer is when you tell people what they want to hear, which is that you understand their situation. So if I am in an open house and I ask someone, now, is this going to be your first home purchase? And I'm getting that vibe. And they say, yes, it is. You can bet in my ABC script, when I say, well, the next set to set you up for success is to set up a meeting to educate you on the process of buying a home here in Texas. So I'm educating them. They need to know. They've never done it before. You know, I absolutely love working with first-time home buyers. Now, something I have a skill set. I have a master's degree in education, and I love teaching people about this process. Now, if you don't have a degree in education, you can say, we love working with first-time home buyers because while it may be overwhelming, I want you to know that we love educating first-time home buyers on this process, and we have a huge referral network in place. We're going to make sure you are 100% informed every step of the way. You're never going to have a question, and we are going to be here for you 24/7 to make sure this goes super smoothly. And all of our first-time home buyers have achieved great success. So when would be the best time to get together, weekdays or weekends? Because first-time home buyers are nervous. They're overwhelmed. They don't even know what to do. What do I do next? They ask you every time. So when you ask questions, that's when, Jeffrey, you can provide the value. That's when you can understand their unique situation. And the best value you can provide is something that is customized for them. So again, the foundational buyer, seller scripts, lender scripts, investor scripts, renter scripts, those are great. But the best thing you can do is actively listen, because that is the value that is going to be meaningful to them. That is going to be the value that is meaningful to them, that is really going to make them say, wow, Jeffrey heard me. He understood our needs. We've been talking to him for 5 minutes, and this guy knows everything that's important to us. Here's another way you can guarantee you're adding value, everybody, as you write this down as we wrap up the call, okay? Ask questions.
Ask questions.
Okay. You should be talking like 20 to 30% of the time. The person who asks the questions controls the conversation. It's not the person who talks the most. It's the person that asks the questions. So your initial rapport with people, you should pretty much be asking questions until you go to the ABC script. Right? Are you local or from out of town? Oh, that's amazing. How long have you lived there? What do you do for work? What's important to you? Why is that important? What's your timeline? Oh, why is that important to you? And you get to know them, and you listen and you listen and you listen, because when you're actively listening, that's when you learn about the people you're talking to. And that is the ultimate value that you can provide. Have you ever ended a conversation with someone where they just ask you a ton of questions and you leave and you're like, I really like that person, right? Because you just got to talk about what things are that important to you. So when you ask as many questions as possible and you take off ramps because you're actively listening, Jeffrey, that is the ultimate value you will provide to people, because you can give them the values that are important to them. So ultimately, to answer your question, how can you provide value? It's by listening and giving the value that is unique to the person you're talking to. And again, it takes practice. It does take practice, but when you're committed to practicing it and you implement it and you don't wait, you're really going to see some big conversion happen. That was a magnificent question. Did I answer it sufficiently for you? Let's go. Awesome. Okay. All right, gang. Well, that is our time. It's getting to be 2:45. Now, again, if you want that document, email me at rob@robstein.com. I will get it back to you within 24 hours. Probably won't be in the next few minutes, but it will be soon. This has been a fantastic call. Again, I am honored to have the opportunity to do what I love to do, which is teach and help as many people as possible. So keep crushing it. Have a wonderful income producing day. And from all of us here at Icon Coaching, thanks again for coming, and we will see you next week.